just going to do a little demonstration of how to apply the wheel coating. This is our newer formulation where you can actually do an apply and leave application. When we're starting with the inner rim as such, we need to make sure we've got a fair bit on the pad. As you can see, I've kind of soaked that whole lot there because we're going to spread it across the whole wheel in one hit. So I'm going to start by doing that. Just worth noting that I have degreased the whole wheel prior to doing this. But as you can see, I'm not exactly putting a small amount on because what the coating will do is self-level on the surface. And literally all we're going to do is just go all the way around the wheel. Like so. Just making sure we've got everywhere. Now, as it's a first application and the pad is new, I'm just going to put a bit more product on the pad. So that I can ensure I've got enough product on the surface that it doesn't dry out too quickly. It doesn't go on too thin because you'll end up with the rainbow type effect, the Petrine effect, where it's flashed off too quick and not left enough of the base ingredient on the surface. But generally speaking, it's a very simple application, especially to areas like this where all we're doing is just wiping it on and just leaving it to level out on its own. And that's the inside of the rim done. So you see a few almost like lines. What they'll do is they will flow out over the next 5 minutes or so. But as you can see, pretty perfect finish, no buffing needed. I'm just going to leave that on there. So now we're onto the front face of the wheel. This is a bit more intricate than the back of the wheel for obvious reasons. Lots of kind of areas we've got to get in and make sure we get the coating applied to all the areas. Now with this, we don't put quite as much on the pad, so I don't know if you can see here, but I've only kind of got this area. What we don't want to do is overload smaller areas, so we end up with maybe run marks or excess product in one area. So we're putting a smaller amount on, but it's going to be the same process. But we're going to start with the faces, and we're just going to wipe it onto each spoke like so. And then we're going to start to just get in the areas now as we go around the wheel. So I tend to pick a point, so I've got an M badge here, so I'm going to use that as the starting point stroke end point. So I know when I get back to that, I've covered all the areas off. And as you can see, another very simple process, and you don't need to rush it. You've got working time. Just make sure you get everywhere. Make sure you don't have missed bits. Missed bits can be tucked in or touched in later on, but obviously it's preferable to get them all coated in one hit as opposed to having to go back over certain areas. Now what I'm actually going to do is put a bit more on the pad, because again I took a new pad for the front face and I just want to make sure I've got enough product on. And kind of all you're doing now at this point is tipping out and spreading the product. And this is what I mean about the working time. You've got so much working time with it. You don't need to panic. It's not going to flash off. It's not going to dry instantly on the surface. It's been designed to flow, to give you working time with it, to give that self-leveling effect. But by having this application method, you're getting a much thicker application onto the wheel, up to as much as 10 microns thick with this particular coating, which compared to your traditional wipe on, wipe off, you know, is anything up to sort of 10 times as thick, which is a hell of a lot of difference when it comes to performance and durability. The biggest thing to look out for when doing this is definitely run marks, and to make sure you haven't under applied in areas, because you can get that flashing effect where it kind of rainbows on the surface where you've pulled off too much product or haven't applied too much product. So that's why if you have a very well primed pad, you're never going to pull too much product off, and as long as you focus on all the areas and get round the wheel evenly, you're not going to over apply to any areas, so you're not going to get those run marks. And that is the wheel coated. So as you can see, finish has levelled out already. Nice lovely shine that will stay on that wheel. There's no rainbow, we've got no run marks, no miss bits, and that is a fantastic finish on that wheel.